Well. Hi again, everyone. It's me, Yuri. Welcome back to another video. And to those who are new here, then, hi, I'm Yuri. It's nice to meet you. You like Pokemon? Who am I kidding? Everyone likes Pokemon, right?
Yeah, the kid-friendly variant. Days ago, for some reason, someone managed to hack their way into Game Freak's most treasured files, both released and unreleased, and decided that it'll be a good idea to leak the unreleased bits out into the vast sea of Twitter for everyone to see.
If you're still clueless about these leaks, then don't worry. I'm here to traumatize you. Share it to you. I'm sorry, no one's gonna get traumatized here. I swear. I think.
In the distant past, when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was still blurred, there was a woman and her companions. Every day, they were bored, so they would often catch Slackoff living in the nearby forest. They played cruel games with the captured Slackoff. Sometimes... Huh? Ending them for fun? Gouging out their eyes? Or cutting off their ears? One day, the woman was walking alone in the forest and saw a Slackoff hanging from a tree. She climbed the tree to catch it, but slipped and injured herself. Oh, karma. At that moment, a Vigoroth appeared. This Vigoroth had a torn ear. The woman, startled, tried to flee, but her injured leg hurt too much and she couldn't move. The Vigoroth with the torn ear suddenly attacked her when it saw her. The woman lost consciousness. When she awoke, she was in an unfamiliar place. Before her lay a clear lake, surrounded by trees, from which many Slackoffs and Vigoroth were hanging. All the Pokemon bore wounds somewhere on their bodies, marks left by the woman and her companions. Upon closer inspection, she noticed that some of the Slackoffs hanging from the trees were corpses. They were the very Slackoff that the woman and her friends had ended and discarded. Ooh! Yikes. The Slackoffs were throwing those corpses into the lake. Terrified, the woman tried to run away, but a Slacking appeared. The Slacking also had a torn ear. The woman realized that this was the same Vigoroth she had seen earlier, and fear overwhelmed her, causing her to faint once more. When the woman regained consciousness, she found herself at the entrance of the forest near her home, surrounded by her friends. They carried her back to her house. Sometime later, the woman gave birth to a child, but it wasn't a human child, it was a... Aha! It was a Slackoff! She intended to abandon it, but couldn't bring herself to do so. She stopped meeting with her friends and decided to raise the Slackoff.
Aww.
One day, her friends, concerned about her, visited the area near her home. They found the Slackoff sleeping there, the child of the woman. As they always did, they cut the Slackoff, stabbed it in the chest, and ended its life. They took its corpse and headed to the woman's house. When she saw the slain Slackoff, the woman was overwhelmed with sorrow. She grabbed the Slackoff's body and ran deep into the forest. Her friends, shocked, chased after her. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the surroundings suddenly opened up, and they found the same clear lake from before. Around the lake were many Slackoff and Vigoroth. The woman stood before the lake, and holding the lifeless body of the Slackoff, she threw herself into the water. Afterwards, the woman's friends began to treat Slackoff as companions, just as she had in her final moments. In the past, when the boundary between humans and Pokemon was blurred, there was a grassy plain and a large lake at the foot of a mountain. Two men lived on the west and east sides of the lake. The two men lived by hunting Pokemon. The man living in the west was not particularly skilled, but he strictly followed the hunting rules. The man living in the east was a skilled hunter, but often neglected these rules. One day, the man from the west went out to hunt and saw Rapidash on the plain. Its lush mane shone beautifully in the sunlight. As the man from the west readied his bow, the Rapidash spoke. "We have children now. If I die, there will be none of us left in this plain." The man from the west lowered his bow and said, "Then I will not kill you. However, I desire your beautiful mane, so I ask you to become my wife!" The Rapidash became the wife of the man from the west. Wait, huh? What? How? After about 2 months, when Ponyta began to appear on the plains, the man from the west was riding on the back of his wife, the Rapidash, running across the plain. Eventually, they reached a place where many Rapidash and Ponyta were resting. The wife said, "They are my husbands." "Oh, so you have a harem. If you need, you may hunt them." Whoa! "If you treat them with care, they will not die. However, do not end the lives of female Rapidash or the Ponyta. The female Rapidash are my sisters, and the Ponyta are my children. That means the female Rapidash are your sisters-in-law, and the Ponyta are like your children." A few days later, the man from the east went out hunting. When he reached the plains, he found a Ponyta. He immediately shot an arrow and ended its life. As he continued looking for more prey, he encountered the Rapidash. It was a female Rapidash. The Rapidash tried to say something, but the man from the east ignored it and shot his arrow. He then cut off the mane of the Rapidash he had killed and, proud of the beautiful mane, decided to show it off to the man from the west. He wrapped the mane around his head and headed home. Eventually, tired of walking, the man from the east decided to rest under a large tree by the lake. As the man from the west and his wife, the Rapidash, walked along the lake shore, they saw a glimpse of the Rapidash's mane under the shadow of the big tree. "He is male. He has no children. So if you need, you may hunt him," said the wife. With that, the man shot an arrow at the Rapidash. When he approached the prey, he found the man from the east lying there, wrapped in the Rapidash's mane. "Take this mane back with you, and when you hunt Rapidash, follow the rules I have told you." With those words, the Rapidash said farewell to the man from the west and returned to the plains. So what? Basically, you're divorced now? There was a time when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was blurred. In a coastal village, there was a man. One day, as he was walking along the shore, he found a female octillery washed up on the beach. The man had The man had relations with the octillery and then threw it back into the sea. Why am I imagining a used rubber? The next day, he went back to the same spot and found the same octillery again. He once more had relations with it and threw it back into the sea as before. Oh my gosh, what in the world is One night, after several days had passed, the man had a dream. In the dream, the octillery spoke to him. "I cannot come to you, but I will deliver our child to you. It is our child, yours and mine. The next morning, the man went to the place where he had met the auxiliary. There, he found a boy. The man took the boy home and raised him. Time passed, the boy grew into a young man, and the father passed away. The young man was always lonely. Bro, how? How can that? Huh? One day, as the young man was walking along the shore, he saw a group of people playing in the distance. They all held very large swords in their hands as they danced. The young man approached the people, and as he got closer, he saw that Sharpedo were playing along the beach. When he tried to get even closer, the Sharpedo suddenly leapt into the sea all at once. However, one of the Sharpedo lingered, looking around 3 times before swimming away. At the spot where the Sharpedo had been playing, there was a large sword lying on the ground. It was a shape he had never seen before, and it was very sharp and pointed. The young man took the sword home. The next day, the young man took the sword and went into the forest. While walking through the forest, he encountered an ursaring. He tried slashing at the ursaring's mouth with the sword, and the mouth was easily severed. Next, he stabbed at the ursaring's eyes, and they were easily pierced. Finally, the young man thrust the sword into the ursaring's chest, and the ursaring passed away effortlessly. Bro, you're a psychopath! That day, the young man killed 30 ursaring. After that, he always carried the sword with him, playing by injuring the Pokemon he encountered or cutting off parts of their bodies. One autumn, while the young man was searching for firewood, he lost his way. After walking for a while, he stumbled upon an ursaring's den. Inside, there was an elderly ursaring lying down. The elderly ursaring looked at the young man and said, "Come inside." The young man hesitated, but as it was getting dark outside, he entered the den. Before long, people began to enter the den one after another, filling the room completely. Looking closer, he saw that all of the people had scarred faces, and some were missing their eyes. They were chatting among themselves, but the young man ignored them and fell asleep. At one point, he woke up to find the elderly ursaring lying beside him. He fell asleep again. When he awoke once more, there were many people around, talking about something. Again, the young man ignored them and went back to sleep. When spring arrived, the elderly ursaring spoke. "Do you want to go home? Then I shall send you home. When you return, a whale lord will soon be found near the village. Go there. We will send a man. You must leave the sword behind and bring a witness. Why did you do such things, cutting faces and slicing off noses?" The elderly ursaring escorted the young man back to the village. Upon his return, the young man recounted everything that had happened to the villagers. The following morning, the young man took some villagers with him and headed to the shore. As they walked along the coast, they found a large whale lord. Nearby on the beach was a Teddiursa. When it noticed the young man, the Teddiursa hid in the forest, and the large ursaring came out in its place. As the ursaring charged at him, the young man tried to draw the sword he had hidden, but it got stuck, and he couldn't pull it out. So he rushed at the ursaring with his bare hands. The young man and the ursaring grappled, punching each other's faces. They strangled each other with their strength, and so they choked each other to the end, collapsing on top of one another. The villagers went back and told others what they had seen. So, that's it? Long ago, when the boundary between Pokemon and humans wasn't clear, there was a village somewhere. One day, a girl from the village went into the mountains to gather firewood. She found well-dried dead wood deep in the forest, so she kept going further in. Before she realized it, the sun was setting, and she had lost her way. Around her, there were droppings from a typhlosion, which made the girl anxious. Just then, a man appeared from the other side of the forest. His face didn't resemble anyone from the village, but he was very handsome. The man said, "You must be lost, right? I know the way down the mountain, but with your pace, it would be midnight before you get there. I'll take you back tomorrow morning, so why don't you rest at my place tonight?" The girl had no choice but to agree to the man's suggestion. The man took her hand and began to walk. As evening fell, they arrived at a large cave. "This is my home. You must be hungry, right? Wait here." Saying that, the man went outside the cave. After he left, a red light shone from far away in the mountains, and there was the sound of trees swaying. Before long, the man returned, carrying many red berries. He said, "Eat this, then let's sleep for the night. Even if you wake up before I do, don't look at my face." The next morning, when the girl woke up, the man was still asleep. She honored their promise and stayed lying down, waiting. Before long, she fell back asleep. She was awakened by the man's voice. When she looked outside, the sun was already setting. "Today, we'll eat green berries. Wait here." With that, he went out of the cave. After he left, the same red light shone from far away, and the sound of trees swaying echoed once more. By the time the sun had set completely, the man returned, carrying many green berries. He said, "Eat this, then let's sleep for the night. Even if you wake up before I do, don't look at my face." The girl expressed her concern that her family would be worried and that she wanted to go home soon. The man yawned widely and tapped her on the head. At that moment, she completely forgot about her family and home. Oh, hypnosis! The two of them ate the green berries together and then fell asleep. The same routine continued, with them waking up when the sun had set, the man going out to gather berries, and the two of them eating and sleeping together. Eventually, the girl realized that the man was a typhlosion. "Oh, cool! I like typhlosion!" As winter approached, the typhlosion dug deeper into the cave and said to the girl, "Go and gather wood for firewood. Break up the branches from the higher parts of tall trees." The girl tried to do as the typhlosion instructed, but the tall trees scared her, so she could only climb the shorter ones. When she brought back some branches, the typhlosion said, "That won't do. If it's not from higher branches, humans will find us." When the snow began to fall, the two of them lived in the depths of the cave, mostly sleeping. There was plenty of food. Occasionally, they would wake up, eat, and then go back to sleep. One day, when she awoke, the girl was holding a child. Hoo, hoo, hoo. After several days and nights passed, the typhlosion said, "Your father is looking for you. But you are my wife. So I can't return you. I will have to fight him." The girl pleaded, "Please don't do that. Don't end my father's life. How can I live with you if you end my family? You are a good person. So, please stay here with me and sleep." "Alright, let's stay here and sleep." The man nodded. The next night, the typhlosion woke the girl and said, "Your father is close by. Go and see." When the girl went outside, a snowstorm was raging. She climbed a low tree and broke off a branch. When she returned to the cave, the typhlosion was singing a song she had never heard before. You broke off a branch, didn't you? Soon, your father will come here. I am going to do something bad to your father. If I am ended, take my eyes, my voice, and my heart. Build a fire at the spot where I was ended, and burn them. And while they burn, sing this song until the fire goes out. The girl said, "Please don't do that. Don't do it, rather. Don't end my father's life. If anyone is to be ended, let it be you." Whoa! Whoa! Goodbye. We will never meet again. With those words, the Typhlosion went outside. After a while, there was a loud noise. And when the girl looked outside, she saw her father had ended the Typhlosion's life. She rushed out and said to her father, "Father, you have ended my husband's life. I'm sorry. I have been living with him all this time. He was my husband, bestiality. Please give me my husband, the Typhlosion's eyes, voice, and heart." The girl built at the place where the Typhlosion had been ended and put his eyes, voice, and heart into the flames. She sang the song the Typhlosion had taught her until the fire burned out. The girl's father built a small hut on the edge of the village for the girl and her child to live in. Eventually, spring arrived. The young men of the village often teased and tormented the girl and her child. It became worse over time, and one day, they tried to drape a Typhlosion's pelt over them. Oh. The girl returned home and pleaded with her parents. "Please, tell the villagers to stop teasing us. They put the pelt on us. We will surely become Typhlosion. We are already half Typhlosion as it is." Despite the parents' pleas, the villagers did not listen. In fact, they found it even more amusing and eventually draped the Typhlosion pelt over the girl and her child. At that moment, they howled loudly and vanished into the depths of the forest. The two were never seen again. And so, people came to understand Typhlosion are half human beings!
So, how's your imagination going? Don't get me wrong, it's quite traumatizing, fun thing to read, but I can't help but feel sorry for the Game Freak members who wrote the stories.
If you've played Pokemon Pearl, Diamond, Platinum, or their newer versions, then I'm sure that you could still remember the books that focused on Pokemon mythology found inside the Canalave library.
If Pokemon's a game made specifically for adults, then I'm 100% sure that the bigwigs of Game Freak would never hesitate to include those things into the story to add more depth to the lore. But unfortunately, it's a game that was specifically made for kids, so no freaky stuff allowed. Unless you pay attention to the Pokédex entries.
The leaker must have thought that sharing these out to the public is fun. That we deserve to see the hidden, unreleased, non-kid-friendly side of Pokemon. But not only did these leaks make everyone's jaws drop in horror, but I'm sure that the Game Freak team that's responsible behind those leaked bits would not only be ridiculed, but they would also be pressured and doxxed. I've read somewhere that the leaked stuff not just included these unsettling Pokemon backstories, but the private data concerning Game Freak's workforce was there too, which obviously isn't a good sign.
For the members of Team Game Freak, I am terribly sorry that this has happened to you. It's kind of understandable for you to come up with ideas like those, since most of the Pokemon of the earlier versions were, inspired by Japanese folklore, yokai especially. To the person who leaked the hidden files of Game Freak into the public, I'm not sure if you did that just for the sake of curing your boredom, or to let your fellow Pokemon fans, us, see whatever it was that we unfortunately missed because Game Freak hid it away from the world. But I do hope that you would at least have the idea to write an anonymous letter of apology and send it to the company. They honestly deserved it after the chaos that was caused by your little leaking game. And to us who were unfortunately cursed with the curiosity to check whatever these leaks contained, let's just move on and forget, okay?
Typhlosion is cool. Rapidash is majestic. Octillery will make good takoyaki. And Slackoff is, well, Slackoff.
Okay, that's all, bye.
That's all for today, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next video. Don't forget to click on the pretty notification button and the big old subscribe. Stay hydrated and eat healthy. Bye! Subscribe!